Hello, I welcome you all for this CSIR UGC NET SLET examinations online coaching program conducted by the Islamia College Vaniyambadi. I am Dr. K. Anandarachagan, Associate Professor of Chemistry, Islamia College Vaniyambadi. Today, through this webinar program, I give you some important tips regarding the preparations for the competitive examinations NET set in chemical sciences. Since my specialization is organic chemistry, I explain you the best method of preparation for the subject organic chemistry in this chemical sciences branch. First, let us look into the syllabus. The CSIR UGC National Eligibility Test for Junior Research Fellowship and also for the lectureship. The subject chemical science is made out of 4 branches: inorganic chemistry, physical chemistry, organic chemistry, and interdisciplinary topics. Let us look into the syllabus. The syllabus is mainly made out of 13 chapters in total. This is from organic chemistry. And if you look at the interdisciplinary subjects, they are also connected with organic chemistry. So in total, I can say that there is 30% of the syllabus from organic chemistry. So if you concentrate on organic chemistry, you are able to clear the CSIR NET set examinations. See, if you look into the syllabus, then the syllabus in organic chemistry is very broad. The syllabus is totally different from the syllabus that is offered to you in the PG programs. In the PG programs, the title is clearly mentioned. What are the reaction types you have to study? What are the name reactions you have to study? So, the depth and breadth is clearly specified in the semester syllabus of your PG program. Whereas, this is a all India level competitive examination. So, the topics are given in a broad manner. The length and breadth of the syllabus is not mentioned. There is no limit for the name reactions. You have to study all the name reactions. So, in general, I can say there is no limit for the length and breadth of your syllabus. You have to study like that. How can you prepare for the examinations in organic chemistry? You have to refer the recent textbooks or the revised edition of the standard textbooks known in organic chemistry. For example, the best known book for reaction and mechanism in organic chemistry is our Jerry March. Jerry March is available in the 5th edition. You must read that. Reactions and Mechanisms Part B by Sandberg and Carey. Part A is also available. So Sandberg and Carey book is available in revised edition 5. If you think of organic spectroscopy, then plenty of books are available. You have to read all the books on spectroscopy. We have Silverstein Bachelor Organic Spectroscopy, Spectrophotometric Identification of Organic Compounds by Silverstein Bachelor, Organic Spectroscopy by Kemp. So, we have to refer all the textbooks on spectroscopy. And similarly, if you come to synthetic organic chemistry, you have plenty of books. You have Synthetic Organic Chemistry by H.O. House, Synthetic Organic Chemistry by Carruthers, Modern Synthetic Organic Chemistry by Mackay and Smith. So you have to read all the textbooks available in synthetic organic chemistry, and you should be thorough with all the topics, methods and name reactions. So, if you prefer the revised editions of the textbooks, and also, and if you read all the textbooks available for the subjects, then you are not putting a limit on the length and breadth of your preparation. Automatically, your depth in the subject will be more, and it will be very easy for you to prepare in the CSIR UGC examinations. So, to explain the preparation further, let me choose a few questions from the examination. I want to explain how the questions are designed for these competitive examinations. See, first let us look at a question. In this question, you are supposed to match the following. You have 3 statements on one side and 4 answers on other side. Let me read out. Conversion of 1,7-octadiene to cyclohexene, and B. Conversion of bromobenzene to ethyl cinnamate, conversion of 1-hexene to 2-hexanone. On the right side, you have the name reactions, Waker oxidation, McMurray coupling, Heck reaction, and olefin metathesis. Fourth one is olefin metathesis. Many of these name reactions are not found in the PG syllabus of our university and university controlled colleges. So many name reactions are the latest one. That's why I told you to refer the revised editions. Only revised editions of the books, namely Sandberg and Carey, Jerry March, are having all these reactions. If you refer Organic Reactions and Mechanisms Volume B by Sandberg and Carey, you will come across these reactions, namely Waker oxidation, McMurray coupling, Heck reaction, and olefin metathesis. So 3 statements are given, 4 answers are given. You have to find the right answer for the statements and you have to match them. See, by giving 4 answers for 3 statements, the question and the answers are complicated. So many permutations and combinations are made. Look at the alternatives. From that, you are supposed to find the correct alternative. See, how can you choose the alternative? For that, you must have a good knowledge about the name reactions. First, let us see what is this Waker oxidation. The Waker oxidation is a simple process by which a olefin is converted into a ketone. See, this is a palladium catalyzed reaction, nucleophilic addition. First, palladium forms a complex. Palladium in the form of a complex forms a complex with the olefin. Palladium alkene complex is formed. Water is adding over the palladium alkene complex. And we have our cupric chloride and oxygen as the core reagents, because in this reaction, the palladium is reduced, palladium in the 2 oxidation state is reduced to 0 oxidation state. It is very normal. In an oxidation reaction, the oxidizing agent gets reduced. So palladium complex, palladium in the +2 oxidation state gets reduced to palladium 0. Once again, the palladium has to be oxidized. For that purpose only we are using cupric chloride and oxygen, and these are the core reagents. So, in this Waker oxidation, an olefin is converted into a ketone. Cyclohexene is converted into cyclohexanone. Sorry. In this example, you have taken a hexene, it is converted into 2-hexanone. So, let us go to the next reaction, namely McMurray coupling. In this McMurray coupling reaction, you have taken a aromatic ketone. Aryl alkyl ketones are also taken. So the ketone is converted into a olefin. Here, in this example, I have taken benzophenone, a diaryl ketone. A diaryl ketone is converted into a tetraaryl olefin. Suppose if I take aryl alkyl ketone, then I will get biaryl bialkyl olefin as the product. So in McMurray coupling, the ketones are undergoing reductive coupling. So ketones or aldehydes can also give the reaction. Reductive coupling of two ketones or aldehydes, they form an alkene. The reaction takes place in presence of titanium chloride and a reducing agent, namely lithium aluminum hydride. So these are the reagents. The next reaction is Heck reaction, where aryl halide is undergoing a coupling with the vinyl esters. So vinyl olefins, they are substituted with phenyl rings. This is a coupling reaction called as Heck reaction or Heck arylation reaction. Aryl alkenyl halides react with simple and aryl substituted alkenes such as vinyl esters, vinyl ethers and vinyl amides, etc. So leading to the corresponding product. Here we are getting a vinyl ester as the product, phenyl vinyl ester as the product. The reaction is also catalyzed by palladium in the zero oxidation state. Various procedures are also available in the literature. Palladium 2 salts are also used, and phosphine ligands are also available to catalyze the reaction. So this is our Heck arylation or Heck reaction, where you are getting a aryl vinyl ester as the product. The vinyl group is arylated. Aromatic ring is undergoing coupling with carbon-carbon double bond. Next comes olefin metathesis. In this, you have a diene. The carbon-carbon double bonds are at the end, and by this olefin metathesis, the ring is closed. A double bond compound is converted into a monoene with a ring closure, and another olefin is obtained as a product. So from this reaction, it is very clear that the groups attached to the carbon-carbon double bonds are exchanged here. Left and right, they are exchanged. So cyclohexene and ethylene are the products when 1,7-octadiene is subjected to undergo olefin metathesis. So olefin metathesis is a process used to close or open rings. So by the ring closure or opening of rings takes place by the interchange of double bond components. We have several alkene transition metal complexes of ruthenium, and molybdenum complexes are also available. They can catalyze this reaction. And we have a common catalyst called as Krebs catalyst. The Krebs catalyst is a benzylidene complex of ruthenium. It is commonly used for this olefin metathesis reaction. So we have understood the 4 reactions. Now coming back to the question, see, conversion of 1,7-octadiene to cyclohexene. So diene is converted into a monoene. Very clear that for choice A, question A, olefin metathesis is the answer. So A is matched with choice 4. Look at the alternatives. In the alternatives, you can find A is matched with choice 4 in 2 choices, that is 1 and 3. 2 and 4, A is matched with 2, namely McMurray coupling, so it is a wrong answer. 2 and 4 can be avoided. You should be very quick. You should not stay longer in a question, that is, in terms of time. When you are facing an objective type question examination, try to spend minimum time in each and every question. You should answer the questions shortly and quickly and correctly also. So, the difficulty level is always higher, so that The question paper setter is making you to spend the maximum time in a question. If you are thorough in the subject, if you are strong in the subject, and if you are having a very good depth in the subject, then you will spend minimum time in each and every question of the objective type question. So in this first question, the difficulty level is increased by setting a match the following question. So the alternatives 2 and 4 are wrong. You rule it out. 1 and 3 has the correct answer. A is matched with 4. Let us find which one is the correct answer among 1 and 3. For the second statement, conversion of bromobenzene to ethyl cinnamate, it is very clear that bromobenzene is coupled with is converted into ethyl cinnamate. So this conversion is possible by aryl coupling with vinyl esters. So it is a Heck reaction. So for B, 3 is the answer. Out of 1 and 3, which one is matched with B? In which choice B is matched with 3? So third choice is the correct answer. In third choice, B is matched with 3. That is Heck reaction. How about C? C is matched with answer 3. That is conversion of 1 hexene to 2 hexanone. It is nothing but your Wacker oxidation. So choice 3 is the correct answer, in which A, B, C are matched with the correct answers. C is matched with 1, B is matched with the Heck reaction, and A is matched with the olefin metathesis 4th reaction. So the answer for this question is 3. So you must be able to answer quickly. Let me choose another question. This is only to understand the difficulty level of questions in part C of organic chemistry. See, here I have chosen a question. The correct combination of reagents to effect the following reaction is, see, you are having even a aldehyde. In this aldehyde, the OH group configuration is specified. Look at the product. The configuration seems to be inverted. That is the notable change. Second notable change is the aldehyde is reduced. It is a chemical reaction. Reduction of aldehyde, and the hydroxyl group is inverted. See, the inversion of configuration is a notable change. You are given 4 set of reagents. The 4 set of reagents are able to produce the observed changes nearly, but not exactly. So you are supposed to find which set of reagents is exactly able to bring the change. So first choice is your set of reagent phosphorus oxychloride pyridine. So the hydroxyl group is converted into a halide. If it is treated with silver acetate, then acetate ester is formed as a product. If it is reduced with lithium aluminum hydride, then the aldehyde group as well as aldehyde group is reduced to a primary alcohol, and the acetate ester is also reductively cleaved to give you a hydroxyl group, but it must be noted whether there will be any inversion of configuration of the hydroxyl group. That is a question. Second one is reduction of the sodium borohydride. So the aldehyde moiety is reduced to a primary alcohol, and you have a set of reagent B, triphenyl phosphine dead. Dead is nothing but your diethyl acido dicarboxylate. It is a reagent capable of inverting the hydroxyl group in combination with the benzoic acid. The hydroxyl group configuration is inverted and it is converted into a benzoate ester. Benzoic acid is substituting the hydroxyl oxygen. So benzoate ester is obtained as the product with the inverted configuration. That carbon configuration is inverted. But the reaction stops there. The benzoate ester is the end product and not the hydroxyl group with the inverted configuration as the product. Coming to the third one, you have the set of reagents just reversed when compared to 2. First, you are treating the compound, starting compound with the triphenyl phosphine, diethyl aceto dicarboxylate and benzoic acid, which produces the benzoate ester of the starting compound. Now, if it is reduced with lithium aluminum hydride, then you are getting a alcohol with inverted configuration, because when you are carrying out the reaction with the dead and benzoic acid, the configuration is inverted. You are getting a benzoate ester with inverted configuration. Lithium aluminum hydride reduces the aldehyde group to primary alcohol, and the benzoate ester is also reductively clean. So the choice 3 is able to bring the desired change. Coming to the choice 4, pyridinium chlorochromate is a mild oxidizing agent. It will oxidize the hydroxyl group to a ketone. And if you use a L-selectride, it is a selective reducing agent. It is used to produce a specific stereoisomer in the reduction of cyclohexanone system. So it will reduce, but it is a doubt whether the hydroxyl group configuration will be an inverted one. The selectrides are not designed for inverting the configuration. So from these, we are able to confirm that choice 3 is the best answer. See, choice 3 is called as the Mitsunobu procedure. The procedure is used for inverting the configuration of a hydroxyl group. So the hydroxyl group in the starting compound is appearing with the inverted configuration in the product. This is done by the choice number 3 reagents. So answer for this question is 3, choice 3. Now let us move to the next question. Here, in this question, reaction of D-glucose with the following reagent produces. You are given a series of reagents. Reagent 1 is acetone. Reagent 2 is PDC, pyridinium dichromate. It is an oxidizing agent. And reagent 3 is triethoxy phosphonium oxyethyl acetate, sodium hydride. It is a reagent like our phosphorus halide. It is able to bring a reaction just like our Lüttich coupling reaction. So, first let us look at the starting material. It is a D-glucose. See, the difficulty level is very high. D-glucose, carbohydrate chemistry is coupled with synthetic organic chemistry. Here, first of all, you must remember the structure of D-glucose. If you remember the structure of D-glucose, then you will say that glucose is able to exist in pyranose and furanose structure. But D-glucose, look at the structure given. D-glucose is able to exist in the furanose, that is the most stable form. So you have 5 hydroxyl groups in the furanose form, and the hydroxyl group at position number 4 is involved in this cyclization. So this is the furanose structure of D-glucose, which is the most stable structure. See, when a polyhydroxy compound is treated with acetone in presence of mineral acid, that is the first set of reagent, then ketones are produced. This is a reaction used for the protection of hydroxyl groups as well as ketones. Ketones, if you want to protect ketones and if they are treated with 1,3-propanediol, then you are getting ketones as the product. If you make use of 1,2-propanediol, then ketones which are having 5-membered ring are obtained as a product. If you use 1,3-propanediol, ketones with 6-membered ring are obtained as a product, second one. And if you use 1,4-butanediol, then 7-membered ketones are obtained as the product. Now the question of stability arises. When compared to 7-membered ketones, 5 and 6-membered ketones are found to be more stable. Now, by remembering these 2 points, let us go to the question once again. See, in the question, the first reagent is acetone, second reagent is pyridinium dichromate, and third one is our phosphonium iodide reagent. So D-glucose having a 5-membered ring, furanose structure is giving the product. From the choices given, choice number 1 has a furanose structure, choice number 2 has a pyranose structure, choice number 3 has a pyranose structure, choice number 3 has a furanose structure, choice number 4 has a pyranose structure. So 2 and 4 are the wrong answers because they have a pyranose structure. You can eliminate it. Out of the 4 choices, 1 and 3 seems to be the best choices. So 1 and 3 have the furanose structure. Look at the structure 1. You have the vinyl ethyl acetate at position number 3. Whereas in structure number 3, you have a 7-membered ketol that itself is highly unstable. And in the formation of this product, the reaction sequence is reversely followed. See, instead of forming the ketol first, the pyridinium dichromate is used for the oxidation, so that the ketone is treated with the phosphonium iodide to give this product, where you have a 7-membered ketol. So this cannot be the product by following the given reaction sequence. So first choice number 1 is the correct answer, where the D-glucose in the furanose structure gives a 5-membered ketol. Hydroxyl group at position number 3 is free. It is oxidized by pyridinium dichromate to give you a ketone. So you have a carbonyl group at position number 3. And if it is treated with triethoxy phosphonium oxyethyl acetate, you have the vinyl ethyl acetate product. So first one is the correct answer for this question. See, first one is the correct answer. Choice number 1 is the correct answer for this question. And this reaction is called as Wordsworth-Emmons reaction. Oxidation followed by phosphonate olipination, that is resulting in the formation of a vinyl ester, is called as Wordsworth-Emmons reaction. This is a latest reaction discussed in Sandberg and Carey, Advanced Organic Reactions and Mechanism by Sandberg and Carey. Now let us move to another question. In this question, I have taken a aromatic compound. See, this is only to understand the difficulty level even from the question of reactions and mechanism. So, in this question, aryl bromide is treated with soda, amide and liqueur ammonia. See, R is a substituent, R is a hydroxyl group, or R is a methyl group. So, when R is a hydroxyl group, you have bromophenol. When R is a methyl group, you have a bromotoluene as the starting material. When they are treated with soda, amide and liqueur ammonia, what is the product? The reagents are the same, but the starting material is different. So, it is very clear that the question is designed based on the orientation and reactivity of the substituent. Since the reagents are soda, amide and liqueur ammonia, it is clear that the question is from aromatic nucleophilic substitution reaction. Soda, amide and liqueur ammonia are capable of producing NH2- as the nucleophile. So, the choices are, choice number 1 is meta-aminophenol for A, and for B we have para and meta-aminotoluene as the product. Choice number 2 for compound A, para-aminophenol is the product, and compound B is meta-aminotoluene as the product. In choice number 3, we are getting a mixture of para and meta products for both the compounds. And in choice number 4, we get meta products for both the compounds, namely A and B, bromophenol and bromotoluene. Now, which one is the correct answer? So, let us work it out. You do some rough work. Try to find try to write the mechanism of aromatic electrophilic nucleophilic substitution of the compounds. See, the starting material is bromophenol. When R is equal to BOH, we have the bromophenol. When it is treated with soda, amide and liqueur ammonia, you have the benzene intermediate, phenol benzene intermediate. Bromotoluene, when it is treated with soda, amide and liqueur ammonia, and you are getting a benzene intermediate which is very similar, only thing is the substituent is different. And one is a phenol and another one is a toluene benzene intermediate. So, now let us consider the two benzene intermediates. If these benzene intermediates are treated with soda, amide and liqueur ammonia, what are the products? Let us see the reactions. See, the benzene intermediate obtained from bromophenol, when it is treated with soda, amide and liqueur ammonia, the nucleophile produced, it can attack at the para position as well as at the meta position. If the NH2 minus nucleophile attacks at the para position, then look at the intermediate that is obtained in the extreme left. In the aminophenol, you have a negative charge at position number 3. That is, the position number 3 is very close to the hydroxyl group. The hydroxyl group is having a oxygen with two lone pairs of electrons. It is trying to drive the lone pair of electrons inside the aromatic nucleus. The aromatic nucleus is having 6 pi electrons. So, the system is rich in electron. And the negative charge on carbon number 3 is very close to the hydroxyl group. Such an intermediate is highly unstable. So, it will not give you a product at all. Look at the intermediate that is obtained by the attack at position number 3. You get a meta-aminophenol, the negative charge is at the para position. There is a mistake, the negative charge, there is a mistake in the PowerPoint presentation, the negative charge is located on the carbon at position number 4. It is not appearing, actually it is given, it is not appearing clearly. It is a mistake, sorry for the mistake in the PowerPoint presentation. So at position number 4 you have a negative charge which is the para position with respect to the hydroxyl group. Since the negative charge is far away from the hydroxyl group, the intermediate is stabilized and you are having a product, namely meta-aminophenol. So, para-bromophenol, when it is subjected to undergo nucleophilic substitution with soda, amide and liqueur ammonia, you will get beta-aminophenol as the product. Coming to the next example, namely bromotoluene, it gives you a benzene intermediate where methyl group is the substituent. If it is treated with the liqueur ammonia and soda amide, then if the attack is at the para position, you are getting an intermediate with a negative charge at position number 3. The methyl group is weak when compared to a hydroxyl group. So, it is not able to stabilize as well as destabilize the negative charge on the position number 3. You are getting a para-aminotoluene as the product from this intermediate. Similarly, if the attack is at the meta position, then the negative charge is at the para carbon or carbon number 4 and it gives you a meta-aminotoluene. The negative charge on the carbon number 4 or para carbon is not at all influenced by the methyl group because the methyl group is very weak. So, we are getting a mixture of product, namely para-aminotoluene as well as meta-aminotoluene. So, for A starting material, meta-aminophenol is the product. For B, namely bromotoluene as the starting material, para and meta aminotoluenes are the products. So compound A gives the meta product, compound B gives para and meta products as a mixture. So if you look into the alternatives, the choice number 1 is having the correct answer. A is having the meta-aminophenol, B is having the mixture of product. So for this question, 1 is the correct answer. See, this is a simple aromatic nucleophilic reaction. The difficulty level is increased by mixing the starting material and by concentrating on the orientation and reactivity. See, look at the next reaction. This is a reaction of allylic alcohol. See, the major allylic alcohol A and the ester B formed in the following reaction sequences are: we have a starting material. If you look at the starting material, then you can see the starting material itself is prepared from a compound, namely cyclohexanone. Cyclohexanone, if it is treated with toluene sulfonamide hydrazines, then you are getting a product, namely toluene sulfonamide hydrazones. Phenyl hydrazines gives you phenyl hydrazones with carbonyl group. So carbonyl group is protected. Toluene sulfonamide found to be more reactive and it can be easily removed. It's a reactive molecule. So the toluene sulfonamide hydrazone of methyl cyclohexanone, that is the starting material here. If this is treated with 2 equivalents of butyl lithium and formaldehyde. Normally, if it is treated with the butyl lithium, then the cyclohexanone, after protection with toluene sulfonamide hydrazine, it is converted to the hydrazone. The hydrazones are converted into a olefin as the product. Here, the reaction is slightly modified. See, we have 2 equivalents of butyl lithium and 1 equivalent of formaldehyde. So it is a different reaction, it is a modified reaction, it seems. When the starting material is treated with the butyl lithium, you are getting the vinyl lithium reagent, or vinyl lithium as the product. If the vinyl lithium is treated with formaldehyde, then you are getting a vinyl aldehyde as the product. Butyl lithium is a reducing agent. The second equivalent reduces the vinyl formaldehyde to give you a vinyl alcohol. So, the vinyl alcohols are obtained as the product. If you look into the alternatives, all the 4 choices are having the vinyl alcohol as the product. Only thing is, the carbon-carbon double bond position is different. In 2 cases, the carbon-carbon double bond is formed between less substituted carbons, and in another 2 cases, the carbon-carbon double bond is formed between more substituted compounds. See, this reaction is called as the Shapiro reaction. In this Shapiro reaction, there is a possibility of forming 2 products, but the most favored product is the product containing carbon-carbon double bond in less substituted carbon atoms. So, if you treat the hydrazone of toluene sulfonamide of cyclohexanone, methyl cyclohexanone with 2 equivalents of butyl lithium and formaldehyde, then the second compound is the product, not the first one, where the carbon-carbon double bond is formed between less substituted carbons. So, para-toluene sulfonyl hydrazones on reaction with alkyl lithium produces vinyl lithium reagents. Formaldehyde reacts with such vinyl lithium reagents to produce allyl alcohols, and the double bond is formed between the less substituted carbons. So this reaction is called as the Shapiro reaction. Let us look into the alternatives. The first one is not the alternative because the carbon-carbon double bond is formed between more substituted products, and fourth one is not the answer because that also has the same structure. So the best choices are 2 and 3. Either 2 or 3 may be the correct answer. Let us look into the reaction further. The vinyl alcohol, if it is treated with a compound that is given in the reaction, see, MEC triethoxy group. So it is very clear that it is a reagent of the type, namely orthoformic or orthoformic acid. So it is a ester type reagent, orthoformic acid reagent. This reagent is called as triethoxy orthoacetate. The name of this reagent is triethoxy orthoacetate. So when this triethoxy orthoacetate is treated with the vinyl alcohol, what is the product? Another reagent is propanoic acid. It is a weak acid and the condition is 140 degrees centigrade. The temperature seems to be higher. So this is a new reaction where ortho ester type reagent is reacting. Here it is triethoxy orthoacetate. What happens when an orthoacetate is reacting? Let us see. See, the reaction in total is called as orthoester glycine reagent. I will explain. First, the vinyl alcohol, if it is treated with orthoacetate, ethyl triethoxy orthoacetate, then propanoic acid, you are getting a triethyl compound, that is a allyl ethoxy compound. With the elimination of the alkoxy group, we are getting vinyl allyl ether. See, in glycine rearrangement, vinyl allyl ethers are undergoing a sigmatropic rearrangement to give you a product, namely a olefin ester is obtained with a sigmatropic rearrangement. So this rearrangement is called as a glycine rearrangement. Since it is since the starting material is obtained from the reaction of the vinyl alcohol with the orthoester, the rearrangement is called as orthoester glycine rearrangement. So from that it is very clear that this one is the product. Now if you look at the alternatives, then among the correct alternatives that we have chosen 2 and 3, look at position number 2. The product B is a rearranged one, and look at the choice number 3. The product B is not rearranged. So the answer is 2 for this question. So this reaction is a combination of 2 reactions, namely Shapiro reaction and orthoester glycine rearrangement. See, you can imagine the depth of your preparation from this question. Answer for this question is choice number 2. Coming to the next question, the major product formed in the following reaction sequence is, see, pyridine. When this is treated with a set of reagents, namely hydrogen peroxide, acetic acid, and another reagent is nitric acid and sulfuric acid, phosphorus trichloride. What is the product? You are supposed to predict. Pyridine is a simple organic compound. First reagent is hydrogen peroxide and acetic anhydride. Acetic acid. Hydrogen peroxide and acetic acid. Hydrogen peroxide is a mild oxidizing agent. Let us look into the product. The products are 1, 3-nitropyridine, 2, 4-nitropyridine, third one is 3-chloropyridine, fourth one is para-chloropyridine. So it is very clear that the electrophilic substitution reaction is operating in this example. But what about the first one? The reagent is a mild oxidizing agent. If the reagent is treated with hydrogen peroxide and acetic acid, oxidation has to take place because hydrogen peroxide is an oxidizing agent and pyridine is also oxidized to pyridine N oxide. If pyridine is converted into pyridine N oxide, then the orientation and reactivity of pyridine is changed. Pyridine, if it undergoes electrophilic substitution reaction, then the product formed is at position number 3. The same pyridine, if it undergoes electrophilic substitution, 2 or 4 substituted products are not at all obtained. Then you can raise a question, how can we prepare 2 or 4 substituted products of pyridine by electrophilic substitution reaction? The technique is just to reverse the reactivity and orientation in pyridine. How it can be done? Convert pyridine into pyridine N oxide. The pyridine N oxide will function in a manner just opposite to that of pyridine. Pyridine, if it undergoes electrophilic substitution, then it will give you a 3 substituted product, whereas pyridine N oxide, it is obtained by the oxidation of pyridine with hydrogen peroxide and acetic acid. It gives you pyridine N oxide. If it undergoes electrophilic substitution, then 2 or 4 substituted product is obtained. So upon nitration with nitric acid and sulfuric acid, you will get 4-nitropyridine N oxide as the product. And third reagent is PCl3, phosphorus trichloride. Being a halide reagent, you can expect chlorination. But it is not chlorination here. Phosphorus trichloride is a deoxygenating agent. Pyridine N oxide, see the 4-nitropyridine N oxide, when it is treated with phosphorus trichloride, 4-nitropyridine is obtained as the product and phosphorus trichloride is converted into phosphorus oxytrichloride. The oxygen attached to the pyridine nitrogen is removed. So these are the reaction sequences I have explained. Pyridine, first when it is treated with hydrogen peroxide and acetic acid, you get pyridine N oxide. Pyridine N oxide, when it is treated with nitric acid and sulfuric acid, you get 4-nitropyridine N oxide. When this is treated with pyridine trichloride, the oxygen is removed and you are getting 4-nitropyridine as the answer. So as the product. So the correct answer for this question is choice number 2. See, this is a very simple reaction and the reaction mechanism is also very simple, aromatic electrophilic substitution. But the examiner has increased the difficulty level by concentrating on the orientation and reactivity of the pyridine and pyridine N oxide system. The difficulty level is more. Normally, people leave such areas and they will concentrate on more important areas. In a competitive examination, you can expect such simple and easy questions from the neglected areas also. That's why I insist from the right beginning, I insist that there should not be any limit in the length and breadth of your preparation. If you don't put any limit in the length and breadth of your preparation, then automatically you will have a very good depth in the subject. Your preparation will be very strong and you will score very good marks in the competitive examination based on in chemical science, that too through organic chemistry. Wish you good luck. Thank you.